what it says. I have studied this in the Hebrew. Let me translate it for you most accurately. The Lord reigns. Psalm 93 is an enthronement psalm. It is one that celebrates God's sovereign kingship over all the earth. And this worship song is the first in a short series of psalms that are clustered together. It begins right here in Psalm 93 and it extends through Psalm 99. And there is a clustering together and the gathering together of these psalms into the third book of the Psalter that begins here, these psalms that declare the Lord reigns. It is repeated over and over and punctuates these enthronement psalms. Psalm 93:1, as you see, the Lord reigns. Psalm 96, verse 10, say among the nations, the Lord reigns. In other words, we have the same message out in the world that we have here in the house of God. We preach here, the Lord reigns, and we go to the nations and we declare to them that their gods are dead gods and no gods. There is but one God, and it is this God that reigns. Amen. Psalm 97, verse 1, the Lord reigns. Let the earth rejoice. Psalm 99, verse 1, the Lord reigns. Let the people tremble. It would be absolutely impossible to read these enthronement psalms without understanding the central message that the throne is occupied and the one who sits upon the throne of heaven is continually and constantly exercising His throne rights and is exercising His will, and He is reigning in glory above. To be sure, God reigns over every realm of His universe. He reigns over history and providence. He reigns over nature and weather. He reigns over nations and rulers. He reigns over life and death. He reigns over circumstances and events. He reigns over prosperity and adversity. He reigns over salvation and damnation. He reigns over the eternal destinies of all men. The Lord reigns. Now, as we look at this psalm this morning, I want you to see its three essential parts. I want to lay out this psalm for you. You will note the first stanza is in verses 1 and 2. And you will note that there is some white space after verse 2, before verse 3, and that is to separate the stanzas. And in verses 1 and 2, I want you to note the sovereign reign of God. The sovereign reign of God. And then in verses 3 and 4, the sinful rebellion of man, set in juxtaposition against the sovereign reign of God.